My child, come. Come and sit with me for a moment. Not in the chair across from my desk, perhaps, but here, in this shared space of stillness, in spirit. I want to welcome you into a place I know better than my own home, a sanctuary built not of stone and wood, but of profound and holy quiet. Have you ever found yourself sitting alone in an old church, long after the final hymn has faded into the rafters? Long after the last of the faithful have gathered their coats and their families, and their hurried footsteps have echoed away into the afternoon, leaving only you and the saints in the stained glass. The great oak doors groan shut, and suddenly the very air itself seems to change. It grows heavy, almost thick, with the invisible residue of generations of prayer. You can smell it, a faint, sweet scent of old beeswax from 1,000 candles, of aging hymnals, of frankincense, and of something utterly timeless. In that hallowed quiet, the only sound is the gentle, rhythmic whisper of your own breathing and the occasional, reverent creak of a wooden pew beneath your weight. It is in those moments that the light filtering through the colored glass seems to possess a life of its own. It doesn't merely illuminate the dust motes dancing like tiny, silent constellations in its beams. It seems to reach for you. It feels as if it is gently, lovingly, seeking out the hidden corners of your soul, the places you keep guarded from the rest of the world. Each of those dancing motes of dust could be a silent witness to 1,000 unspoken confessions, a million shed tears, a generation of hopes lifted to heaven. I have spent the better part of my life, my vocation, in that quiet. I have become a keeper of those stories, a guardian of the silent spaces between words where the true, unvarnished heart of a person is revealed. And in all my years, my friend, I have learned to recognize the specific quality, the unique texture, of the stillness that precedes a divine encounter. Please believe me when I tell you it is never an empty silence. Oh no, it is a weighted silence, a silence pregnant with unspoken potential. It is the palpable hush of the created universe holding its collective breath, waiting for the Creator to move. It is the stillness on the face of the waters just before the Spirit descends. I sense you are in that stillness now. Perhaps your entire life has felt like a quiet, lonely room for far too long. A long, weary vigil where you have waited and listened, straining to hear a voice, to see a sign, to feel anything that might break the crushing monotony of your own heartache. You may have even come to believe that the silence is the answer, that the answer is no. If that is you, then I implore you, with all the earnestness in my old heart, listen to me, listen closely. Your presence here, your decision to stop your endless scrolling and receive these words, is not a product of chance. It is not a random click in a chaotic sea of digital noise. It is the fulfillment of a sacred appointment, a divine summons you didn't even know you had answered. I believe with every fiber of my being that God has orchestrated this moment, guiding you here because He has something deeply personal and sacred to whisper directly into your soul. So I ask of you this one thing. Do not treat this moment lightly. Do not dismiss it as wishful thinking. Do not allow the cynicism of your past wounds to close the door of your heart. For today, this very hour marks a turning point. Today, the long, painful silence is about to be broken, not by the deafening thunder of judgment, but by the gentle, persistent, and undeniable echo of an unconditional and eternal love. Let us step into that sacred space together, you and I, and truly listen to what the Father has to say. Before a physician can set a bone, they must first examine the fracture. Before a builder can restore a home, he must first walk through the ruins and assess the damage. In the same way, my child, Before we can truly speak of the magnificent healing God has in store for you, we must first have the immense courage to sit together in the sanctuary of your acknowledged pain. In my ministry, I have learned this undeniable truth. No true healing can begin until the wound is first brought tenderly into the light, looked upon without judgment, and honored for the battle it represents. Our world tells us to be strong, to power through, to put on a brave face and ignore the persistent ache in our spirit. But God does not ask you to ignore your pain. He asks you, with arms wide open, to bring it to Him. I have sat in the hallowed, anonymous dark of the confessional for decades, and over time, I have become an expert not so much in the catalog of human sins, but in the vast, heartbreaking landscape of human sorrows. I have learned that the deepest, most corrosive agonies of the heart are almost always invisible to the outside world. I see you, my child, as He sees you. I see the silent agony you endure. It is a private torment that no one else perceives, a quiet internal bleeding that drains your spirit moment by moment, pouring sadness like lifeblood from a tired, weary heart. Let us speak of this pain, you and I. Let us name it so that it might lose its power. Perhaps your pain is born of rejection. I have seen this wound more than any other. It is the raw, gaping wound left when those who were supposed to cherish you most instead despised you, when those whose embrace was meant to be your safe harbor instead rejected you. It is the agony of a child whose parents never saw their worth. It is the betrayal of a spouse who made a vow before God and then walked away as if it were nothing. It is the sting of a friend who shared your deepest secrets and then used them as a weapon. These are not small things. These are attacks on the very core of your being. You carry the scars of those broken promises, of solemn oaths that dissolved into the wind like smoke. And the lie these wounds whisper to you is, you are not worthy of love. You are disposable. It is a lie from the pit of hell, but it feels so real, doesn't it? Or perhaps your pain is the heavy cloak of unresolved grief. Grief is a ghost that lives in your house. It is the chair that remains empty at the dinner table. It is the phone number you can no longer call. It is the love that was lost in the unforgiving distance of time or circumstance and never, ever found its way back home. But grief is not only for people. You can grieve a dream you held so dear, a future you had meticulously planned, only to watch it crumble into dust before your eyes. You can grieve the person you used to be, the one full of hope and laughter, before the world wore you down. This grief is a phantom limb. The leg is gone, but you still feel the ache where it used to be. You walk through your days with a heart that is haunted by the persistent, painful echo of what could have been. And the lie this ghost whispers is, your best days are behind you. All that is left is emptiness. Then there is the particularly isolating pain I see in those who are considered the strong ones. This is the loneliness of perceived strength. Are you the one everyone else depends on? The rock? The problem solver? I've seen this agony in the eyes of the powerful CEO who commands boardrooms with an iron will, but weeps silently in his car in the parking garage, utterly alone with his fears. I have seen it in the weary gaze of the young mother who pours every ounce of her being into her children, creating a beautiful life for them while feeling her own identity, her own soul, fading into a gray nothingness. I have seen it in the stoic farmer who works the land from dawn to dusk, carrying the weight of his family's legacy on his broad shoulders, with no one to whom he can confess his terror of a single failed crop. These strong ones carry the burdens of many, but have no one to help carry their own. And the lie whispered to them is, You must do this alone. To show weakness is to fail. Finally, there is the deepest, darkest pain of all, the corrosion of spiritual despair. This is the state you fall into after years of the other pains. It is the agony of crying out in the darkness and hearing only the echo of your own voice. It is the fatigue of searching for direction in a suffocating fog, of asking questions to a seemingly empty, silent heaven. This is when the silence begins to feel like a judgment. It is the temptation to believe that you have been forgotten, ignored, or that you are so broken that even God has turned his face away. You have strived, you have fought, you have clawed your way through each day just to stay standing, all the while feeling the immense gravitational pull to simply give up and sink. And the lie of this despair, the most dangerous lie of all, is you are alone. No one hears you. No one cares, not even God. My beloved child, I name these pains not to cause you more sorrow, but to do the opposite. I name them to bring them out of the shadows and into the compassionate light of his presence. I am here to tell you, with the authority of a man who has witnessed his faithfulness for over 50 years, that every single one of those lies is about to be shattered. Your Heavenly Father has not been a distant observer of your suffering. He has been an intimate participant. He was the silent presence in the room when you wept. He collected every single tear in his hands, and he treasures them. He felt the sting of every betrayal alongside you. The immense pain you have carried, he knows its weight, its texture, its name, and it pains his heart to see you continue to carry it alone. So, the very first step of your miracle, your new beginning, is this raw, beautiful, honest acknowledgement. You do not have to pretend for 1 second longer. You don't have to be strong for me, for your family, or for anyone. Here, in this sacred, quiet moment, I invite you to lay down the immense, crushing weight you have carried for so long. Give it a name. Acknowledge its reality, and in doing so, you will create a space, an empty space, a holy vacuum that was once filled with pain and is now ready, finally ready, to be filled to overflowing with his magnificent grace. Feel his presence wrapping around you as you do this. He is not repulsed by your wounds. He is drawn to them. He is embracing you, scars and all, with an eternal, restorative love. You are held. You are seen. You are known. And that, my child, is where every true healing is born. Now, as you sit in this space of acknowledged pain, I can almost hear the next question rising in your heart. It is a valid, courageous, and perhaps the most profoundly human question of all. It is the whisper that follows the scream. It may sound something like this: Father, what you say is beautiful, and I want to believe it. But I have been in that dark and lonely room for so very long. I have prayed until my knees were sore. I have cried until I had no tears left. I have begged for a sign, a word, anything, and all I have heard is silence. A deafening, overwhelming silence. Where was God in all that waiting? Why did he leave me alone for so long? My child, you must know that this is not a question of weak faith. It is a question of deep longing, and it deserves a thoughtful answer. To begin, I want you to consider with me the ancient and noble art of a master weaver creating a great tapestry. Imagine I could lead you into a vast, sunlit workshop. In the center stands a great loom upon which a magnificent tapestry is being created. But I lead you not to the front, but to the back of this loom. From this vantage point, what do you see? You see chaos. You see a bewildering, tangled mess of threads, thousands of them. You see knots and loops and countless loose ends that seem to have no purpose. Colors seem to clash violently. A dark, ugly thread runs for a long stretch, and then abruptly stops. It looks like a terrible mistake, a chaotic project abandoned by its creator. Looking at this confused jumble, you would be forgiven for concluding that the weaver is clumsy, unskilled, or worse, that he has simply given up and walked away. This, my dear one, is almost always our limited, human perspective on our own lives. We are standing behind the tapestry. We see the chaotic underside of our story. We see the long, dark threads of sorrow and sickness. We see the tangled knots of broken relationships. We see the prayers that seem to go unanswered, the desolate paths we walk where we feel the utter absence of any encouraging voice. We see the confusing detours and the painful, inexplicable delays, and we mistake it all for divine abandonment. We tragically mistake the sacred silence of the workshop for the empty silence of an abandoned building. But let me assure you of this eternal truth. The master weaver has never, not for a single moment, left his loom. He is there now, on the other side, the side we cannot yet see, working with intense focus and a love that is beyond our comprehension. Every single thread, every color, every knot has a divine purpose in his grand design. Those long, dark threads of sorrow you so despise, he is using them to create a depth and a contrast that will make the bright, golden threads of joy shine with a brilliance they could never possess on their own. The threads that seemed to stop so abruptly, they were not mistakes. He was tying them off securely to begin a new, more beautiful and intricate pattern somewhere else on the canvas of your life. And the silence, the long seasons of waiting, that was not his absence. That was the sound of his complete and utter concentration. Think of it as a divine classroom. The school of waiting is where the soul's deepest virtues are forged. It is in the waiting that we learn patience, the quiet trust that his timing is perfect even when it feels painfully slow. It is in the waiting that we learn humility, the profound realization that we are not in control and that our frantic efforts often do more harm than good. It is in the waiting that we learn true reliance, discovering that our own strength will always fail, but his is infinite. It is in the waiting that we are purified, as he gently weans us off our attachment to our own specific desired outcomes and teaches us to trust his ultimate wisdom. A foundation must be painstakingly laid before a great cathedral can be built. The ground must be tilled and cleared of stones before a bountiful harvest can be planted. Your period of waiting, as agonizing as it has been the laying of that divine foundation, the tilling of the soil of your soul. We humans live our lives by the hurried, anxious tick-tock of the clock. The ancient Greeks had a word for this kind of time, chronos. It is chronological, sequential, one thing after another time. We want answers now, relief now, miracles on our schedule, but God operates in a different dimension of time. The Greeks called this kairos. Kairos is not quantitative, it is qualitative. It is the opportune moment, the appointed time, the perfect, pregnant moment when all the threads are in place and heaven is ready to act. You can't rush Kairos. You can only prepare for it. He is the one who moves the invisible threads of history, who organizes the details we cannot see, who works silently in areas of our lives we thought were forgotten. The very fact that you are hearing and receiving this message now is the strongest possible sign that a Kairos moment is upon you. The season of Chronos, of anxious waiting, is ending. The season of Kairos, of divine intervention, is beginning. Very soon, he will invite you to step around to the front of the loom, and when you do, your soul will gasp in awe. You will see, for the first time, the masterpiece. You will see how every tear, every trial, every lonely night has been woven into a breathtaking testimony of his victory and grace. You will finally understand that the silence was not the sound of abandonment. It was the sound of the Master Weaver, creating a future for you more beautiful than you could ever have dared to imagine. Now, as the dawn of this Kairos moment breaks, let us speak of one of the first and most powerful promises that emerges from the long silence. It is a promise that speaks to the deepest human longing, a primal need for belonging, for safety, and for a place of ultimate rest. I want you to listen with the ears of your heart, for your Heavenly Father, the Master Architect, is about to bless you with a new home. And please, hear me clearly. I am not speaking merely of a physical house with a roof, windows, and walls, though I have seen Him provide those things in the most stunning and miraculous of ways when they are needed. The physical provision is often a beautiful, tangible sign of a much deeper spiritual reality. What I am truly speaking of is an inner sanctuary, a refuge of profound peace, a place where His presence will dwell with you in a real and tangible way. It is a home from which you can never be evicted. Let us take a tour, you and I, and explore the divine architecture of this sacred home He is meticulously building just for you. First, we must examine the foundation. Your old dwelling may have been built on precarious ground, on the shifting sands of others' approval, on the fragile ground of your own accomplishments, or on the earthquake-prone fault lines of your emotions. Every time the wind blew, you were terrified it would all collapse. But this new home is different. Its foundation is being hewn from the unshakable bedrock of God's eternal promises. Every word of truth, every assurance of His love, is a block of solid granite being laid in place. This home is being built to withstand every storm life can throw at it. When the winds of chaos howl and the rains of adversity fall, you will feel a deep, abiding sense of security, for you will know your house is built upon the rock. As a small prayer, you might whisper, "Lord, teach me to build my life not on my feelings but on your faithfulness." Now, let us look at the walls. In your past, walls may have signified a prison, locking you in with your own fear and loneliness. But these new walls are walls of holy protection. They are not designed to imprison you, but to finally set you free by keeping the enemy out. Think of them as a divine security system. The accusing voices of your past, the insidious whispers of, "You're not good enough, you'll always be a failure, you're damaged goods, you are unlovable." Those voices will approach these walls and find they have no power. Their sound will be silenced. These walls define a consecrated space, a holy ground set apart for peace, healing, and rest, where your heart can finally be safe. You can pray, "Father, surround me with the walls of your grace, and silence the voices that are not your own." Lift your eyes to the roof. This is the magnificent canopy of His unending grace. It is a covering of divine mercy that shelters you from the harsh and often cruel elements of a critical world. For too long you have been exposed, beaten down by the scorching sun of judgment and the bitter, freezing rain of condemnation from others and even from yourself, but no longer. Under this roof, you are covered, you are safe, you are free to be vulnerable, to be imperfect, to heal without the constant fear of being exposed and shamed. This roof is His loving hand over your life. Whisper this, "I choose to live under the roof of your mercy, not the open sky of judgment." And what of the windows? A home without light is a tomb. For years you may have been looking at your life and at the world through windows clouded and grimy with past hurts, disappointments, and fear. The view was always distorted, dark, and bleak. In this new home, He is acting as the window cleaner. He is gently, patiently, washing away the layers of grime with His truth and love. He is purifying your vision so that you can see yourself as He sees you. A valuable, precious masterpiece designed with a unique and glorious purpose. These sparkling, clean windows will let in the brilliant, unobscured light of His truth, illuminating your mind and giving you a perspective of hope, beauty, and possibility that you may have forgotten was even possible. A simple prayer: Spirit of God, clear the windows of my perception. Let me see as you see. Now we come to the door. There is only one door to this inner sanctuary, and it has a unique and sacred characteristic. The handle is only on the inside. He stands at that door, respectfully and patiently. He knocks. His knock may be a circumstance, a conversation, or this very message you are hearing now, but He will never, ever force His way in. He honors your free will completely. He invites, He calls, He waits. It is your sovereign decision to reach out, to turn the handle of your heart, and to swing the door wide open in an act of willing surrender. It is a powerful act that says, I am ready. I am tired of living in the wilderness of my past. I choose to enter the refuge you have prepared for me. Finally, at the very heart of this magnificent home is the hearth, the fireplace. This is not a fire of destruction, but the constant, steady, burning flame of His Holy Spirit. It is a fire that provides not a searing heat, but a deep, penetrating warmth that permeates every single room of your being. It is the place of communion and intimacy. It is where you will gather with Him in the morning. It is where precious new memories of faith will be forged. It is where your heart, for so long cold and numb with loneliness, will finally be filled with the deep, abiding, and eternal warmth of His immeasurable love. This home, this inner refuge, is not a distant, futuristic dream. Its construction is underway. It is time to turn the key. It is time to move in. As you begin to settle into the warmth and safety of this new spiritual home, another of God's magnificent promises begins to unfold. It is a promise, however, that can be easily and dangerously misunderstood in our modern world, a world obsessed with accumulation. So we must approach it with great wisdom and discernment. The promise, spoken with divine authority, is this: you will be very wealthy. Now, before your mind immediately rushes to images of overflowing bank accounts, luxury cars, and a life of material ease, let us pause together and take a breath. As a priest, my caller has granted me a unique vantage point. I have had the privilege of knowing many people with immense material wealth, people who could buy anything they desired, and yet they were some of the most profoundly impoverished souls I have ever met. Their lives were a frantic, anxious race for more. Their hearts were hollow with loneliness, and their souls were starving for meaning. That is not the wealth God is promising you. Please understand me. I have seen our God, who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, pour out material and financial provision in the most stunning and unexpected ways. He is a God of extravagant abundance, and He delights in blessing His children with what they need to fulfill their purpose. Provision will come. Doors to financial opportunity that were sealed shut will open. But that is merely the byproduct, the small, outer expression of a much deeper, more glorious, and eternal wealth He is dying to bestow upon you. Let us speak today of the true currency of heaven, the riches that will truly satisfy your soul. First, and perhaps most importantly, you will be wealthy in peace. I do not mean the fragile, temporary peace the world offers, which is really just the brief absence of conflict. I am speaking of a divine, supernatural, and unshakable peace that becomes your constant companion. It is a firm granite rock that God Himself plants in the very center of your soul. It is the peace that allows your inner boat to remain steady, calm, and on course, even when the storms of life are howling around you. It is a deep, soul-level satisfaction and tranquility that will fill every corner of your mind and heart, a peace that no circumstance, no financial market, and no human being can ever give you or take away. This peace, my child, is the prerequisite for all other forms of wisdom and growth. It is the fertile soil from which everything else will spring. Second, you will be wealthy in joy. Notice with great care that I did not say happiness. Happiness is a lovely thing, but it is a fickle emotion, utterly dependent on happenings. If things are going well, you are happy. If they are not, you are unhappy. Divine joy is something else entirely. It is a deep, artesian wellspring that flows directly and constantly from His presence within you, independent of your outward circumstances. The radiant wave of joy that is about to flood your life is this very thing, a fresh, invigorating breeze of hope and renewal. This is the profound joy that can miraculously coexist with sorrow. It is the joy that gives you supernatural resilience in the face of challenges. It will become your source of incredible strength, your eternal treasure. It does not depend on what you gain or what you lose, for it is rooted in who you belong to. Third, you will be wealthy in relationships. For too long you may have experienced the crushing poverty of broken bonds, strained connections, and profound loneliness. But I tell you, as a herald of His good news, your relationships are being targeted for restoration. He is the God who unites hearts, who miraculously heals what was broken, and who breathes new life into what was dead. How? By first transforming you. He will give you a new, supernatural capacity for grace, for forgiveness, for seeing the best in others. You will see the people you love transformed, not because you changed them, but because His love flowing through you changed the dynamic. The bonds that were worn out and frayed will be renewed with compassion and understanding. This, my friend, the treasure of restored and loving relationships, is a fortune beyond any worldly price. Fourth, you will be wealthy in purpose. Perhaps the greatest poverty a human being can experience is a life without meaning, a feeling that your existence doesn't matter. But God is now reaching into your heart and reigniting passions you thought were long extinguished. He is dusting off the gifts you hid away out of fear of failure. He is stirring within you the talents you buried out of fear of rejection. He is reminding you, with a divine urgency, that you are still here for a reason, for a unique and specific calling that resonates before His very throne. This newfound wealth of purpose will give your life a powerful sense of direction and significance. You will no longer feel like a piece of driftwood being tossed about on the chaotic sea of circumstance, but like a magnificent ship, sails full of the wind of the Spirit, sailing with intention toward a glorious and meaningful harbor. This is the true prosperity that will follow you. It is an all-encompassing, holistic abundance. This is the wealth of faith, hope, and love fulfilled. For our God is not a stingy God. He does not just provide what you need. His very nature is to give you abundantly more than you can ask or even dare to imagine, so that you, in turn, can become a conduit of His limitless generosity to a world that is starving for true riches. Now that we have a place to stand our new home and a new currency to spend heavenly wealth, we arrive at the very heart of God's personal work in your life, the breathtaking miracle of healing and restoration. In our culture of instant gratification, we often think of a miracle as a sudden, dramatic flash of lightning from a clear blue sky, and sometimes it is. But more often, in my experience, A true, lasting miracle is like the slow, steady, and unstoppable dawn. It is a gradual but profound transformation that renews everything, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. I want to walk you through the anatomy of this miracle, the divine surgery He is performing on your soul right now. The first and most intimate stage of this process is inner healing, performed by the one I call the gentle surgeon. Your physical health will flourish with new vitality, for He is the God who designed your body and who is now touching every cell, every heartbeat, every breath with His restorative power. But this healing goes so much deeper than the physical. He is entering the operating theater of your heart to heal the inner places where fear, doubt, and hopelessness have taken root like a malignant cancer. Think of your mind and your emotions as a beautiful garden that has been terribly neglected. The weeds of anxiety and worry have grown thick and have choked out the light. Sharp stones of past hurts and betrayals have littered the ground, making it impossible for new things to grow, and the soil itself has become hard and compacted with cynicism. Right now, He is the divine gardener. With incredible tenderness, He is getting down on His hands and knees. He is not bulldozing your past. He is gently, one by one, pulling out the weeds of anxiety. He is carefully lifting and removing the sharp stones of old wounds. He is patiently breaking up the hard, compacted soil of your heart, aerating it with His grace so it can breathe again. He is planting new seeds of faith, hope, and love, and watering them with the living water of His Spirit. This is a gentle, meticulous, and loving process. He knows the fear and trauma you hold, and His touch is perfect. The second stage I call the work of the divine couturier, and it is the restoration of your true identity. For years, the world and perhaps people who claim to love you have pinned false labels onto you. Like cheap, scratchy, ill-fitting garments, you have been forced to wear labels like failure, not good enough, unlovable, divorced, addict, victim. You are defined by your greatest mistake or your deepest wound. For too long you have carried the unnecessary and crushing weight of their expectations and their hurtful words. I am here today as a tailor from the courts of heaven to announce that God is removing those rags from your shoulders. With great ceremony, He is tearing off every single false label, and He is clothing you in a new garment, a magnificent robe of dignity, woven from threads of grace and righteousness. He is restoring to you your true name, the one He gave you at your conception, my beloved child, in whom I am well pleased. You no longer need to strive to prove your worth, because to Him, the King of the universe, you have always had infinite, incalculable value. This is not just a change of clothes, it is a change of being. The third stage is the work of the master bridge builder, and it involves the renewal of your relationships. As the deep inner healing takes root in you, you will begin to see its miraculous effects on the world around you. We have spoken of restored relationships, but how does this practically happen? It happens because He is building new bridges. First, within your own heart, He is building a bridge between your wounded past and your hopeful future. He is building a bridge between your head and your heart. And most importantly, He is giving you the grace to become a bridge builder yourself. He will give you the supernatural courage and humility to extend forgiveness, even to those who don't deserve it, not for them, but for your own freedom. He will give you the gentle words to heal old rifts. As He changes your perspective, you will begin to see others differently. Where you once saw malice, you will begin to see their own deep pain. Where you once felt only anger, you will begin to feel a sliver of compassion. This inner transformation will create seismic ripples of healing that will transform your family, your friendships, and your community. He is the God who makes reconciliation possible. The fourth and final stage of this miracle is learning to walk in the uncharted territory of faith. This is where the healing becomes a lifestyle. Faith, you will discover, is not simply a passive waiting for things to change. Faith is an active, daily, and sometimes terrifying choice to live as if God's promises are true, even when your circumstances scream that they are not. It is taking one small step into the unknown, trusting that He will place the ground beneath your foot. Each step you take, guided by that trust, will open new doors. He will lead you out of the cramped, narrow spaces of your self-imposed limitations and into a wide-open landscape of possibility. His divine favor will surround you like a shield, opening paths where there were none, breaking down walls that seemed insurmountable, and bringing divine appointments that seem like coincidences but were perfectly orchestrated by Him. This entire process, this intricate, multi-stage miracle is turning your life, your very story, into a powerful testimony. Every tear you've shed, every trial you've endured, was not in vain. He is weaving them all into a story of His grace, a monument to His restorative power that will give hope to others who are still lost in the darkness you have just come out of. Your story is being redeemed, and it is becoming a masterpiece. And so, my beloved child, we come to the end of our time together in this sacred, quiet space. But as I look at you now, with the eyes of my heart, I know with a certainty that shakes my soul that this is not an ending. This is the true beginning. We have walked together through the hallowed sanctuary of your acknowledged pain, and we did not flinch. We have stood in silent awe before the great loom of the Master Weaver, finally understanding the purpose in the waiting. We have explored the magnificent, divine architecture of your new, eternal home. We have learned to count with the true currency of heaven, and we have witnessed the intricate, loving anatomy of the miracle that is, at this very moment, unfolding within the deepest recesses of your being. The question that hangs in the air now is simple. What is left to do? The nature of God is to give, to create, to restore, to heal, to pour out. His work is the eternal, active outpouring of His own being. The nature of humanity, our highest calling, is simply to learn how to receive. That is all that is asked of you now. With an act of your will, I invite you to open the palms of your hands as a physical sign of your spiritual surrender. Open the locked chambers of your heart in a gesture of profound gratitude. The blessings He is pouring upon you are not a trickle, but a mighty, unstoppable waterfall. All that is required is a soul willing to be drenched in His grace. Let these words, this entire message, penetrate your spirit like a long, slow, gentle rain on the parched and thirsty ground of your soul. Allow it to sink deep into the roots of who you are. A new story is being written for you. It is a story of magnificent redemption, of breathtaking restoration, and of glorious, unending renewal. But this story is not a leather-bound book to be placed on a shelf and admired. It is a life to be lived, a song to be sung, a dance to be danced. And it comes with a holy commission. The healing you are receiving is so that you can become a wounded healer, extending a hand to those still trapped in the pain you once knew. The profound peace you are being given is so that you can become a peacemaker in a world full of conflict. The abundance you are about to walk in is so that you can become a living, breathing channel of His generosity. Your redeemed story is meant to become a lighthouse, a beacon of hope that guides other lost ships safely to the harbor. Do not hide it. Do not diminish its power. Therefore, lift your face. Wipe away the last of your tears. The long, desolate season of lament is over. The vibrant, joyful season of dancing is beginning. Lift your thoughts beyond the horizon of your past experience. Expand the boundaries of your faith. Enlarge the vision you have for your own life, because He is working majestically. And I tell you with all authority that nothing, not your past, not your fears, not the opinions of others, and not the powers of hell can stop the flow of His divine purpose for you. Now, go forth from this quiet space. Go back into your life, but not as the person you were when you arrived. Go forth and live as who you truly are, a beloved, cherished, restored, and magnificently empowered child of the Most High God. The heavens are open over your life. Walk boldly into your new beginning. Amen.